Hi guys. All right, so now we're going to go over the second passage. This is still a revising passage. This one was titled Fearless Felix. So take a second and review that. This was about the guy that broke the sound barrier basically by parachuting. He did a free fall for a long time and then parachuted. Baumgartner was his name. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our first question. Catherine would like to provide a more detailed thesis statement for her paper. Which of the following could replace sentence 3 and accomplish this goal? Okay, so again, a thesis statement, and our key phrase here is she wants it to be more detailed than it was originally. Okay, so that's going to be our litmus test. That's going to be how we decide which one of these answer selections to choose. So let's go look at sentence 3. All right, so our thesis statement is here. This is what we're replacing. Instead, Baumgartner was 24 miles above Earth at the time and jumped. Now, again, when you're doing this, they are assuming that you've read the whole piece. That is vitally important in these revising passages. So we need to look and see what's in front of it because it says instead. So there's a connection there. So sentence 2 reads, on that same day, 65 years later, because it's talking about Chuck Yeager who traveled in the plane and broke the speed of sound. So then on the same day, 65 years later, Felix Baumgartner also reached supersonic speeds, but he became the first person to accomplish this without traveling in a jet or a spacecraft. Sentence 3 that we're replacing. Instead, Baumgartner was 24 miles above the Earth at the time and jumped. Okay, so that's what we're fixing. We have several answer choices. B is going to be our correct one. Instead, Baumgartner, who was 24 miles above the Earth at the time, jumped out of a capsule and proceeded to free fall, traveling at speeds of more than 800 miles per hour. Now, the whole thing was we wanted a more detailed thesis. So we've got he's 24 miles, he was 24 miles above the Earth. He jumped out of a capsule and proceeded to free fall. He was traveling speeds of more than 800 miles per hour. So we've added several details there. Lots of us chose, 15% of us chose A as the answer, which wasn't right, but let's look at why. So we've got that idea of 24 miles above the Earth. That's already here, right? So that detail is in A, but that's not adding any more detail. So let's see if anything else is added. Instead, Baumgartner was high above the Earth, 24 miles to be precise, and jumped without a jet or a spacecraft of any kind. Doesn't give us any more detail because the first sentence already said sentence 2, he became the first to accomplish this without traveling in a jet or a spacecraft. So the issue with A, it sounds okay. It just doesn't actually add any more detail. B does. The problems with C and D, they add lots of adjectives and descriptors, but they don't add any actual details. Baumgartner in C was 24 miles above the Earth at the time, which is quite an amazing distance, and jumped, which is quite an amazing feat. So kind of like little side comments, but nothing of substance. And then here in D, Baumgartner was several miles above the beautiful, majestic Earth at the time that he decided to make the magnificent jump. So in both of those, we have just added descriptors, but no actual detail. B is the only one that has actual detail. Okay, number 8, most of us got this one, 96%. It was awesome is not the best word to use in sentence 5. What would you replace it with? So sentence 5, without his gear, he wouldn't be able to survive the awesome temperatures. So the correct answer here is J, the extreme temperatures is a better word to use. Sentence 9, what is the most effective way to combine sentences 7 and 8? So let me tell you what they're going to do whenever you combine two sentences. They're making it a little bit shorter, so that's going to be a clue. The other thing is that they are going to do a couple of things to trip you up. Some of the ones that they give you as options are going to be run-ons, some might be fragments, and then some will change meaning, and that's the case here. So our correct answer for this is going to be C. After a 2.5 hour trip, he reached his target altitude where he ran through an extensive checklist. Okay, that's the only one that doesn't change meaning and is grammatically correct. So A is a run-on. After a 2.5 hour trip and after he reached his target altitude, he then ran through an extensive checklist. And then B, after a 2.5 hour trip, he reached his target altitude, just a comma. Then he ran through an extensive checklist. So run on there as well. D is a little different. After a 2.5 hour trip where he ran through an extensive checklist, he reaches target altitude. That changes the meaning. He didn't run through his extensive checklist during his 2.5 hour trip. When he got to his target altitude, then he went through his checklist. So D changes the meaning, making it incorrect. Okay, number 10. There is a redundant sentence in the third paragraph. Which sentence should be deleted from this paragraph is your question. So let's look at that. The third paragraph, which is here, and most of us got this one right, so we'll just jump to it. More than 8 million people watched a live internet stream that showed Baumgartner plummeting toward Earth. People were able to watch Baumgartner on computers. Okay, so if it's an internet stream, it's kind of redundant to say that they could watch them on computers, right? I mean, you could do phones too, but you don't need to say that. If it's on the internet, we know you can watch it on a computer. So the correct answer there is F. 93% of us got that right, so great job, guys. And then lastly, number 11, 72% of us got this one. We had a little bit of trouble. Catherine has not used an appropriate transition in sentence 21. Which of these could replace however and create a more appropriate transition between sentences 20 and 21? So let's look at that. This is what we're looking at right here. Okay, and we're especially concerned with this word however. Whoa. Well, there we go. That's a really big circle. Those who are involved say that they hope the data collected will help future aerospace pioneers. However, information obtained from the testing and pressurized flight suit and helmet could be used to help pilots, astronauts, and even space tourists who might one day need to quickly evacuate a damaged space vehicle. So the first sentence says the data could be useful to people dealing in aerospace. And then the next sentence says, here are several people dealing in aerospace it might be useful for. So however means a change. So if we were going to use that, it would be like, but not really. That's not the case here. So our options were, meanwhile, at the same time, on the other channel, which doesn't really fit. Coincidentally is like, there's no real connection, but just, hey, by the way, this happens to go. So that doesn't fit. For example is going to be our right answer. So then it lists specific examples, specific ways that his data might help. 13% of us chose likewise, which isn't correct. And the reason is we're looking at the best one, okay? Likewise would join two similar facts. So data from this could help aerospace. Likewise, data from the ground could help this other thing. So it's a separate fact that is showing a similar pattern. That's what likewise means. So our best choice here is, since we're not doing that, we're giving examples of the statement would be for example. All right, guys, this ends the revising passage 2. If you'll look on your slide for what to make up, then you're going to want to do this practice revising questions. It's the same one for both revising passages. So this one here. Um, so if you'll go ahead and do that, then you can get credit for all of the revising sections. So that would be Felix here, Fearless Felix, and Friend Yourself. And send those answers to me via webmail to see how you do. Thanks, guys.